guys, welcome to Better Bachelor. This is Joker with a face for radio and a voice for TV. Tonight I've got a couple of interesting stories to read you. One is a post on the sharing of custody by mothers and their opinions of that. And that one's written by a lovely woman named Lauren Libert. And you'll be able to hear in her words that she selects how she tries to pull at the heartstrings and push the victim button a few too many times. And then I've got a rebuttal from a gentleman named Peter Lloyd. Both of these people work for the same newspaper, the Daily Mail, and it's both under the female section. So it'll be interesting to see the back and forth between the two. I found it really interesting. Before we move on, though, quickly hit the subscribe and notification button if you like what you're hearing. Only about 30% or even a little less than 30% of my viewers are subscribers. So jump on board, hit the notifications, then you'll know when I put something out new for you. Even if it's not exactly, I try to do different videos on different subjects, different lengths. You never know. You might find one that comes across your way that you might enjoy. So let's get started here. From thedailymail.com, agony of being a 50-50 mom. Women once held the upper hand in custody battles. Let me read that to you again slowly. Agony of being a 50-50 custody mom. Women once held the upper hand in custody battles. Shocking. Now fathers are winning equal access and mothers are struggling to cope. Why would they cope? I mean, it's equal custody, so what's the problem? Could it be now you know what it feels like to be a guy and not have custody of your children? Or could it maybe be that you're losing a little money in child support? Let's read on. Nicola Hewitt, 42, an officer manager from Kenley, faces the trauma. Button, victim button. Let's hit that victim button. Without being without her children, Devon 10 and Sunny 8 every weekend. Veronica Sweeney Bird, a 33-year-old bar worker from Tunbridge Wells, a week-on, week-off shared care arrangement for her two daughters, and mothers are having to divide time with their children equally with their exes. How horrible! What is this crazy world we're living in? Equal custody. They go on to say, every mother lives for those small, joyful moments when her child masters something new. I'm going to have to read this sarcastically. I'm sorry, I just have to because I can't take it seriously. Every mother lives for those small, joyful moments when her child masters something new. A book, once too challenging, the telling of a joke previously stumbled over, a food devoured that had been formerly rejected. For it's in those gentle minutiae of a little one's life that you really see their budding personality grow. All right, I won't keep reading like that. I'm sorry. Imagine then the agonizing pain of being privy to your child's life for only half the time. Milestones missed, the lost cuddles before bedtime, the long nights spent wondering if they are sleeping sweetly or crying out for mummy. Now you know what it feels like to be a dad that loves his kids and has them taken out of his arms and run off into the night where he doesn't get to see them but maybe once a week, and he has to pay money for the pleasure of missing his children. Welcome to the party. This is the reality for Britain's growing legion of 50-50 mothers who divide the time with their children equally with their exes. It's a growing phenomenon. Phenomenon? Yeah, why should it be a phenomenon? Why doesn't it just become normal? On the surface, might seem the fairest way for separated parents to organize their lives, and it is. But it comes to an emotional price for the mothers involved, like it wouldn't for the dads. And the consequences for children are just yet untold. Veronica Sweeney Bird is such a mother who wishes more than anything that her two little girls were having a more relaxed, stable childhood. Instead, every other Thursday, she drops one off at the nursery and one off at primary school full of foreboding as she kisses them goodbye. A week-on, week-off shared care arrangement with her ex-husband is the high price Veronica has to pay for her broken marriage. And the 2 years on from the split, she still struggles to cope with the moment she says goodbye to her girls for 7 long days. I so hate being a 50-50 mother, says the 33-year-old bar worker from Tunbridge Wells who was married for 7 years. The 7-year itch. When it's not my week to have the children, I have to try to switch off from being a mom, and it's very hard. To distract myself from the pain, I throw myself into work, working all the hours I can to keep me occupied. When they're not here, I daren't even go into the girls' room because just seeing all the clothes and toys is very painful. I'll know I'll just dissolve into tears and won't be able to function. Come on. The writer of this is just trying to pull on every heartstring of every reader possible. I mean, can you scream victim much more? Veronica only ventures into their room the night before they are due home to tidy up and get ready for their return. I know they'll be coming back, so I feel more excited than upset and can handle it, she says. Although her ex-husband lives just a 10-minute walk away, the relations are strained and there's little contact between them apart from court-ordered FaceTime conversation with her daughters every other day. Even this is hard because Ziva doesn't like talking on the phone and I can't force her. Or maybe she doesn't want to talk to you. Oh. Although she trusts her ex-husband implicitly with the care of her girls, lack of easy communication means she knows little of what they do in their time apart. More than this, decisions about their care often made that are out of her control. Yes, it's like that for dads too. Can you imagine being a dad who loses 50% of custody and you only can see him 30% of the time, 10% of the time? And in the meantime, he has to write child support checks for the kids he doesn't even get to see. And a lot of times he doesn't have any say. In some cases, it's court-ordered that he doesn't get any say because the mother has majority of the control. She has majority of the decisions. How do you think the guys feel? So now that it's even, you're upset. Now that it's even, you're a victim. Now that it's even, it's emotionally traumatizing. Give me a break. I once went to pick the girls up on Thursday and was shocked to see that he had taken them to the hairdressers without telling me. Tally's hair had grown just long enough to tie into a ponytail, and that was too short to tie up. I was devastated. How did the kid feel about it? I'm pretty sure he didn't have to tie her into the chair. He probably said, "Do you want a haircut?" And she might have said yes. I really doubt she went kicking and screaming into the barber's chair. On Mother's Day, Veronica wasn't even able to speak to the girls as it didn't fall on her court-appointed FaceTime day, something she says she found utterly heartbreaking. And what about the guys missing Thanksgiving and Christmas and the children's graduation from various classes and their birthdays and Halloween, taking them out for candy and. Come on. All right, so that's enough of that article because this one actually is frustrating me. Now let's read the guy's response. This is written by Peter Lloyd, same Daily Mail. I guess it would help if I had recorded this. Well, I'll just take screenshots. The agony of being a 50-50 mother? Oh, please. It's called equality, and fathers deserve their just share just as much as women. Just when you think the modern gender debate can't descend any further into toe-curling incredulity, something else emerges to surprise you. So you can imagine my delight when I read yesterday's article in Female about the agony of women having to consider their children's fathers as equal parents. No doubt struggling to be heard over the swell of sympathy violins, three mothers all bemoaned their inconvenience of 50-50 access, implying that dad should be neither seen nor heard except when coughing up child support, of course. One summed it up when she said, "I know the girls have to see their dad, but at the end of the day, I'm a mother who has to somehow learn to stop being a mother for half of my life. I'm not sure I can ever come to terms with that. I don't know many mothers who could." My response? Boo-hoo. Not just because their grievances were focused on themselves rather than their own kids, but because men have been dealing with this crap for decades without any sympathy from the sisterhood. Given that a child is produced by both parents, meaning that they are never just hers, only theirs, these mothers have no right to assume such entitlement. Moreover, 50-50 access is basically equality. If these women don't like it, they should either A, not have children, or B, only get pregnant with a willing sperm donor who already has relinquished his human rights in advance. That may sound gauche, but it's true. Besides, men have long suffered parental alienation at the hands of vindictive exes who have become pawn stars when separation strikes, using their children as a weapon to enact revenge for a broken heart. Now they're getting a taste of their own medicine, and they don't like it. It's not just ordinary people who are affected. In recent weeks alone, we've seen Madonna embroiled in an ugly family spat. Kate Winslet also get into hot water for dissing equal dad involvement. So for all their declaration of girl power, it's a bit rich to think they're bemoaning now. When the relationship with his first daughter, mother, soured, he gave her more than $125,000 in child maintenance, but still wasn't allowed any access to his little girl, Isabella. This is him writing about a guy he interviewed for his book. To this day, he hasn't seen her for 15 long years, despite spending an extra 50,000 pounds on 38 court appearances, all of which were pointless because judges will not jail mothers who flout formal access orders. He became so depressed that he thought about self-deletion and very nearly finished it. Sadly, this is the rule, not the exception, with fathers frequently left so desperate they resort to scaling buildings in protest. So, I could go on, but no use. You guys get the point. When given the punishment of 50-50 custody, women are complaining. Why? Well, they have to go out of their way to make sure the children are dropped off. They don't get as much parental say as they would if they had full custody. They actually have to share their time. On top of that, in many 50-50 custodies, women do not get child support. If they do, it's not that much difference because the salaries are close enough that it's a small amount. In one of these articles, I'll put the links down below for you guys if you want to read them. Have a cold one ready because it's going to be a tough slog on the first one. But the interesting thing is they said this only happens 3% of the time in the UK. So women win 97% of the time, and when they lose the 3%, it's only 50-50 custody that they lose to, or in other words, equality for that 3%. And they thought that was a big enough deal that women should complain and get a story written in the newspaper. You know, when you start playing on fair terms, women scream so much today that they want equality. We want everything to be equal. That's what feminism's about, is equality and having everything fair. And we want things the exact same way for all sexes. Well, if that's the case, you're getting what you asked for. You can't have selective feminism and selective equality. If you want equality, you can pay for half the dates when you go out. You can take a guy out. Maybe you can propose to a guy and see if you get rejected how it feels. Or maybe ask a man on a date and he says no. Then you'll understand how it feels. Now you're understanding what it feels like a little bit to have half custody. Imagine if it went the other way and you only got to see them 20% of the time, ladies. You wouldn't like that very much at all. So for all the screaming and protesting and we want everything to be equal, you're getting it. And as we move further into the 2020s, I hope it becomes more equal for you. And I hope you get to have more of the responsibilities and more of the lack of rights that men have in many cases. Can you imagine the screaming? What would happen if it were 50-50 in the divorce courts? And not her getting 50% of everything, but her getting exactly what she brought to it and the guy keeping exactly what he had. Women are working more now. You never know what can happen. Now, of course, we know the truth of it, which is this is probably never going to change. But as that happens, and as more men learn what's happening in court systems with both marriage, divorce, and with child custody, more men are opting out. And when that happens, eventually, I think, guys will start to learn that it's not just about marriage that's the raw deal. It's about having kids. And if you want kids, you may have to get a surrogate and do it on your own, where the woman has relinquished all custody to the children and just be a single dad. Or maybe look into adoption. Either way. But at this rate, the way things are being torn apart, I don't see many good options for either sex. Guys, I'm going to leave it there. If you want to support my work, links are below. I appreciate all of you that have done so. It is much loved. If you want to check out my other channels, I've got the Unknown Adventure, my travel channel that I'm just getting started up, and of course my Instagram that has about 2,000 photos of me traveling around the world. Links for that are also below. I'll leave these two article sources down below for you as well. Don't forget to subscribe. As I said before, only about 30% of my viewers, a little bit less actually, are subscribed. So hit the subscription notification and the little bell next to it, and you'll at least get a heads up when I put a new video out. I should have one or two every day or so, as long as YouTube doesn't decide to hold them up for monetization reasons or screening them or whatever else they're doing. So guys, I'll leave it off there. This is Better Bachelor. I'm Joker. We'll talk to you soon.